Hey guys, XIV here. In this video, we're going to go over 10 essential beginner tips and tricks in Final Fantasy XIV Online that will give you a stronger start to the game. So these are tips that I found in my journey that really helped me along the way. And these will encompass tricks that will help you while gearing and leveling up, some UI and settings adjustments that will improve in-game movement and visuals, as well as some overall general tips and information that will come in handy if you are just starting out. So with no further ado, let's get right into the video. So these first few sets of tips will focus on leveling hints that will make your journey a little smoother and more enjoyable. The first of these is to focus on only 3 specific types of quests while you're still on your first job. These are the main scenario quests, your job quests, and blue quests. Final Fantasy XIV has a ton of quests all over the place, but following the main scenario quests will give you all the experience you need to level your first job to max level and then some. The main scenario quests are the ones with this icon right here, and you can also find it listed at the top left of your screen. These quests provide hundreds of hours of absolutely epic storytelling and have many cutscenes and voiceovers and are really the main focus and draw of Final Fantasy XIV. Next are the class quests or job quests. These are obviously the quest lines that are associated with your current job, and they have a lot of interesting story to them also. But even more importantly, they provide you with many essential skills and abilities that you won't get from just gaining levels. Make sure to prioritize these when they become available. You receive new job quests every 5 levels, and conveniently they'll also appear on your UI right under the MSQ quest area. When these pop up, click on the quest and navigate to the quest giver at your soonest convenience. Now on to the feature quests, or commonly called the blue quests, because they have this blue colored icon. These are quests that unlock new game features, things like new dungeons, trials, raids, jobs, glamour, etc. I definitely recommend picking these up as you go and completing them, as they are typically unlocking important content. However, the blue quests that unlock new jobs, I do usually leave them until I'm ready to start to play that job. The next tip is for those of you that just want a total single-player JRPG experience and don't want to interact with anyone ever. You can now indeed run dungeons that you need to do with a full party of all NPCs. This system is called Duty Support. Currently, all main scenario dungeons and 4-man trials are supported. There are 2 ways that you can access Duty Support. The first is when you reach a quest objective to clear a dungeon from the main scenario. This icon will be shown at the entrance to the dungeon. Just click on it and select the option to enter the dungeon with a group of NPCs. You can also select Duty Support under Duty in the main menu. Then a list of supported dungeons and trials will appear. Then just select which ones you'd like to run. I just wanted to point out, it has been my experience that the Final Fantasy XIV community is extremely welcoming and helpful to new players, but I do know people who do like this option, so I want to make you aware that it is available to you if you really prefer it. Next up, the Hall of Novice quests. Beginning at level 15, you can access a short quest line from the Smith NPCs located at the Adventurers Guild that are in each city, as well as a few other locations. Inside the Adventurers Guild, you can find the Smith NPCs indicated by the sprout icon over their head. They provide you with some basic role training based on your job. These are either tank training exercises, DPS training exercises, or healer training exercises. These are fairly quick to run and do provide some decent instruction on your role, especially if you're new to MMOs. Probably the best reason to do this quest line though, is you get a decent set of gear for completing them that actually looks pretty good. Much better than the woven potato sack they were probably running around in beforehand. Here's my last tip through the leveling process. And you might have heard this before, but I'm going to reiterate it now. Hang in there through the A Realm Reborn MSQ. It can definitely be a slog at times, but it is without question setting you up for something truly epic. An unbelievable journey, a story that is gripping and heroic, with emotional ups and downs and world-shaking events. But it takes a little while to get to that point, and there's a decent amount of world building that needs to happen before then. So hang in there, the good stuff is coming. Also know that the MMO elements of the game also get better and better. Features are slowly unlocked as you go. In the early stages of the game, you may only have access to a couple of dungeons and only a few skills on your hotbar. But soon enough, you have a long list of dungeons, trials, raids, and other activities to explore and enjoy. Each one seemingly getting better than the last. You'll also end up having several hotbars filled with impactful skills and abilities. I won't spoil all the fun that is in store for you, but trust me, hang in there, you are in for a wild ride. Okay, for the next 3 tips, we're going to go over just a few UI settings that I find help me in the game. The first one you'll find under System Character Configuration. Under the General tab, there is a movement setting right at the top for either Standard or Legacy type movements. By default, this is set to Standard movement, and although not bad, this setting does make a few types of movements feel kind of awkward, especially if you're used to other MMOs. One of these is when you move backwards, your character just slowly walks backwards, which can make moving quickly out of AoEs or other mechanics more difficult. You actually have to swing the camera around backwards to be able to run in that direction. If instead you set it to Legacy type movement, then your character will turn and run backwards quickly if you press backwards, which just feels a whole lot smoother. Also, I like to check this button right here to disable camera pivot. If you don't, the camera will move with you to the left or right when you press in that direction, which again just doesn't feel right, and I'd rather have control over the camera movements myself. Give it a test and see how it feels for you. Next up is a setting I like to enable that helps clear up some of the visual clutter that you get with all the spell effects going off, particularly while running group content. Early on, it's not as noticeable, but as you level up, the spell effects for each class level up as well, which makes it tough to see what's going on during a fight clearly. To adjust these, go under Character Configuration, then Control Settings, then head over to the Character tab. Down under Battle Effects Settings, you have the options of Show All, Show Limited, or Show None for yourself, party, or others, as well as PvP. I like to leave my own spell effects on Show All because the spell effects are just gorgeous. But I like to put party members and others to the Show Limited option because it tones down the animations, which helps clear up some of the visual clutter, while still leaving some animations in play so you can see when spells and abilities are being used. But feel free to test the different options and see what works best for you. Okay, the last neat little UI option I want to go over deals with UI scaling. Now, there's actually a ton of different UI customization options available, so much so that it would take its own video to really scratch the surface. But this is just a quick one that I found handy, particularly if some of your windows seems too small, or if you're having trouble reading some text or whatever. You can actually adjust the size of each window on its own, independent of the others. Say you want your quest journal bigger because you're having a tough time reading the entries. You can just bring up the window, right-click on the top section, then scale the window to the size that suits you. At the same time, you could shrink a different window if you wish. Let's say you want the duty window smaller. Same thing. Bring up the window, right-click at the top, then scale it to the size that works best for you. Okay, for the last 3 tips, these are just some general tips I found helpful that can hopefully also help you on your journey. The first has to do with navigating around the map. You can mark your map with a little red flag by pressing the control button and right-clicking on the map in the position that you want. This will bring up a red flag on the map as well as on your mini-map that you can navigate towards. This is handy if you're searching for a particular monster or fate and have that location for it. Just find the location on the map, mark it, then navigate towards that marker. This also puts coordinates in your chat box so you can link the coordinates to another player as well. I play on a PC with a mouse and keyboard, but you can supposedly do the same thing with a controller by pressing the L1 and R1 buttons at the same time while hovering over the desired position on your map. On to the next tip. This tip has to do with Materia Extraction. You probably know this already, but located next to your inventory section on your UI is a section of green dots. This represents your currently equipped gear. Ever seen white dots here? That means that piece of gear is 100% Spirit Bond and ready to have its materia extracted. If you open up the Actions and Traits panel and go under General, you have a Materia Extraction ability. If you happen to not have it, that means you need to complete the blue quest, Forging the Spirit from Swinbros in Central Thanalan, which is available at level 19. It is a quick quest and you will receive the ability when completing it. Clicking on the Materia Extraction ability will bring up a panel showing your gear with the current percentages of Spirit Bond. Once they are 100%, you can extract materia from that piece of gear. That gear's spirit bond level will then be reduced to 1% and will again start to gain spirit bond through completing different activities. So again, these white dots here are visually showing which pieces of gear happen to be at 100% spirit bond and are able to be extracted. You can also see the spirit bond levels in your character panel. Next to your individual gear pieces are 2 bars. The left bar is the current spirit bond level, and the right bar is the durability of the gear. You can also extract materia from right here by clicking on a piece of gear that is at 100% spirit bond and selecting Extract Materia. Extracting the materia and selling it on the market board can earn you some extra gil while leveling up, so make sure to keep an eye on it. Okay, time for my final tip, and this one is pretty quick, but it can save you a lot of time. When handing over quest items to NPCs, you don't have to actually try to locate it in your inventory. You can just right-click on the NPC's item window, and it'll pull up the correct quest item. Simple. I unfortunately didn't figure this out until after completing A Realm Reborn, so hopefully it saves you even more time than it did me. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like for the algorithm, and don't forget to subscribe as I've got more great videos coming your way. Let me know below, what tips do you have for new players? Also, would you guys want me to make a follow-up video? These were my top 10 essential beginner tips, but there's definitely more tips I've stumbled on during my journey. If you'd like to come check out our journey as we go through it live, feel free to stop by our Twitch channel and say hi to Divinity and I. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters who enabled me to do this full time. If you'd like to support me, I'll leave a link below. Okay guys, I will see you in the next one.